you are keeping track of everything within your process, whether you're a one-person email marketing team or you have several who break it up into one's a list curator, one's a creative, one does deployment, and the other one does strategy. So just want to let you know you're not alone. If you don't measure it, you can't manage it. Go through a couple slides here on how to build your email list. Back in the olden days, you used to be able to rent email lists from list companies, list brokers. That's before the canned spam laws that came into effect in the early 2000s. So that's basically one of the worst practices you can do, is buying or renting your email list. To get people to subscribe to your newsletter or to opt into your whatever your lead generation, lead nurturing email is, you have to have amazing content. So take for a moment, whether you're in a B2B organization or a B2C organization, what's the type of content that you look to in your personal emails that you are a part of? Maybe they're part of a lifestyle brand, maybe they're part of a family, something that they provide information for you that benefits you in one way, shape, or form. Put yourself in then the shoes of your consumers. How do they, what content can you share that's going to benefit their lives, make their job easier, make their company more money, whatever that content is, deliver that content and be one of the best in your category about doing it. Another one to build your email list is to make subscribing to your email list easy. This sounds really simple thing to do, but it's all about consistency. So it's adding, is this last bullet point here, adding the link to your emails registration page to all of your employees' email signatures. Seems like something that's very subtle, but something that should be included. On your website, it should be a very easy opt-in email option for anyone who visits your site, no matter what page they're looking at. Make sure that you have an easy invite and call to action for them to opt into your email list. One of the most important parts is encourage subscribers to share and forward your emails. We're working with a couple of different clients currently where they do not have this as a functionality of their email marketing, and that's when they came to us. They were looking for, well, how can we make this better? And we're walking them through this very simple foundation of building their email list. You have to be able to have social share buttons, forward to a friend, so that your email can then be shared and go to people who have similar interests, might be the right persona, or work into the same demographic of your target audience. So that's a table stake, and still doesn't happen today. That's why I included it. Also, create a new lead generation offer. So some of you are service providers, some of you are selling products to consumers, or have a long sales cycle in a B2B environment. No matter what environment you're in, we strongly recommend, as do the other experts in email marketing, to create some type of free content that has value. Whether it's you're a remodeler and you're talk about the 3 tips for a homeowner to look for in a remodeler company to choose, or if you're in a technical software scenario, put together a simple ebook about what are the benefits of cloud service software in whichever vertical you're in. That free content, simply gate it with an email, and that way you know that they're interested in your product or service. They see you as a thought leader in the category, and you are adding an email to your list. Another one that you can do if you're a small, medium-sized business, as some of you are, is add a call to action at the top of your Facebook business page. I didn't include a screenshot in this, but you can add sign up and to a link to your business homepage on Facebook, and that would go to a landing page that you would create for them to sign up for and opt in for your email. It's another way to draw people into your business. If you're a small consumer-based business or a startup that's consumer facing, Facebook will probably be one of your number one channels for awareness. Also, link offers on your website, as I mentioned earlier, to capture email signups. And then, as a rule of thumb, a lot of the indicators out there is that on an annual basis, your email subscribers the email list database will degrade about 22% every year. That's not because of anything that you're doing or the process. That may or may not make that go up, but it's how people migrate from job to job, have dormant email addresses. If any of you are out there in the business development field, there are email aggregators where you are looking for a prospect and you'll see 4 different emails for them. So that's just the nature of the beast. So that's just a baseline stat that everyone should know. So we talked a little bit about how to build your email list. I want to talk briefly about email list best practices. So instead of having one master database or email list, which a lot of small, medium-sized businesses have, they have not segmented it by vertical, by how they reached and opted into the email. We strongly recommend that you segment your list either by persona, if you're advanced enough to develop personas, demographics, behavior. Did they download the ebook, the white paper that you put out there? That's going to be a warm prospect, but that might be that's a different list that you would want to segment. So you would go back to them with different type of content if you do a drip, their buying frequency and where they signed up. The reason for segmenting is increases your revenue 50%. And another point of a reminder is that almost 50% of marketers don't send targeted email messages. So if you break it up by persona or someone who has a specific, so they say they bought an essential oil from you, and you also sell other products that are naturopathic, you would want to segment those so that you're not sending offers for essential oils to people who only want some other type of service. And you can take that and apply it however your business is differentiated. Don't send emails about printers to the people who want networks and things like that. Personalize all emails. It's 2019. Everything should be personalized. If it's hey subscriber, hey follower, hey whatever. If it's generic, you're going to get people to unsubscribe. Remove your unsubscribers. That's part of the legal thing through the canned spam. Anyone who unsubscribes, you legally have to remove them within 10 business days. All your email signatures, you should, in the email footer of your email that goes out, you should include your physical location. And then another point to reiterate is don't buy or rent email lists. They just are not worth it. Opting in is the way to always go for all email programs. So some of you may be wondering, why was your email marked as spam, or why do you have a high unsubscribe rate? You got to look at the frequency in which you're deploying your emails. Regularly depends on the type of company you have, the organization, B2B, B2C, but people don't want to get emails every day. Here in Portland, Oregon, I subscribe to the Portland Business Journal. They send a daily news alert. That's almost too much. I opted out of that, and now I get a recap on Friday of the business news within Portland. So think about your audience. How do they want to receive their information from you? How frequently? If you're seasonal, maybe it's a seasonal letter, an email you send out every 3 months, or again, don't too much email is going to get people to opt out. I didn't purposely subscribe. That goes back into if renting lists and not being personal. 31% said they're irrelevant content. So again, the first point of maintaining and growing your email is developing great content. 10% say it was impersonal, so you're just calling generic, and then there's almost 20% that we're not sure why it was marked as spam. It would be attributed to probably one of the others where they're not self-identifying. So before you go through and sending your email list or send out your email, these are some things that we recommend everyone do. Make sure that all your subscribers are opted in. Maybe make sure your database manager has checked that box and make sure that they're all opt-in emails. You're not spamming anybody. Also within whatever template or work format or marketing automation system or email service provider you're using, make sure they've selected receive the campaigns that you're sending. Make sure that they're aware of the cadence. So when someone signs up for your email list, they get a drop-down menu, or we recommend you give them some type of selection of how frequently they want to receive your emails. You've experienced this as a consumer from anyone you might sign up from, or if you buy stuff online, if you want a weekly email, monthly, quarterly. So make sure we recommend that is included as well. Also make sure all the field matches to your name. So obviously you're sending it from your company, the name should match up. That's obvious, but I'm thinking of the email person you're sending it to, is it match up to the brand or the personal person that you want to send to. when you have a list over 1,000, then you can run split tests on your lists, which will be important to segment and try and increase your metrics, which we'll get to here in a little bit. And then make sure you're monitoring the deliverability. Looking at your bounce rate and your subscription rate. We'll look at that, how to measure that metric here in a few moments. Another group of lists is make sure your subject lines are quickly and easily describe what's inside the email. So a lot of death by email is through the subject line, is that they're poorly written, so they get automatically rejected or not read. Include shareable elements, which I talked about earlier. Make sure there's call to actions, but they're limited to 1 to 3. You don't want to have someone on there be so confused they don't know where to click. There's text links, there's links on images, there's a call to action button. Make sure you're funneling them the right way when you build out the creative of your email. And then send a test message first within your organization. You never know, if Judy in accounting as well as Stan in sales, they may have different eyes of detail, but and you can see, proofread everything before it goes out, make sure all the links work. That I'm only saying that because it happens so many times. Wrong email, wrong content, typos go out. You can read anything online these days, whether it's from a regular publisher or not, and there's typos all over the place. And just making sure you optimize the send times to the subscriber. And we'll talk a little bit about send dates and times here in a second. And so the final pre-send checklist is make sure that people are segmented within website behavior. So if you have created your segmented list, make sure you have them in the right bucket so you're sending them the right information. In a moment here, I'll show you a matrix of the types of content you send to different types of subscribers within your lead generation type of email stream. If you're sophisticated enough, you can change these things dynamically. Also, if you are in a B2B enterprise environment and you're running on Marketo or Pardot, those campaigns will be automated. And then you make sure, anything in the content, if you're doing A/B testing, it's swappable type of content, not doing wholehearted efforts. When you do A/B testing, which we'll talk about here in a moment, you want your A/B testing to be something subtle or something that's easy to replicate so that once you go to roll it out to scale, that it can be easily adapted and you're not spending weeks in redesign. Here's a group of data points that I learned from Jen Capstraw at the Digital Marketing Summit here in Portland earlier this summer. So basically, reiterates the personalize. You should have the first name, last name of everyone you are opted into your database, optimize to their first name. And so the return on investment, so this is year over year. You get 200% ROI by personalizing year one and going through this is just a modest 2% lift. And by going through your email list each year, make sure it's personalized and continue to push the similar offers out there. You're going to get year 2, 700%, and year 3, 1,284%. So the main takeaway from this slide is personalize, personalize, personalize. Don't send out non-personalized emails because they won't deliver the ROI you need to. So this is one of the most debated about topics in email marketing. I learned back in early 2000 the best time to send an email is Tuesdays at 10 a.m., which is funny because if everyone's sending their emails at Tuesday at 10 a.m., then they're going to be so overwhelmed with emails that they won't be able to read yours. Yet here's some data that proves some of these out. These are from 2 different sources here, but the best time is to send. So you can read some of those options there on the screen. The people that are early risers will read their emails at 6 in the morning. So that's more like your C-level type of audience if you're in a B2B environment. 10 a.m. is when some people are looking for their, they got caught up on the day, be their mid-morning break to catch up and kind of see what's going on in email. As a business developer for the last 20 years, I personally send my personal emails, not through marketing automation or through drip campaigns, on Tuesdays through Thursdays. I send emails on Mondays because people come back from a long weekend and have a bunch of things in their email box. And this is, I'm talking to B2B environment. And then so Tuesday through Thursday, I think they would have the most time to pay attention to what's going on in their email box. Fridays, I think, are typically not good because people are going and getting ready for the weekend. And then the data proves, as you see there on the chart on the right, that Saturday and Sunday you have very little engagement. There's not there's still engagement there, and you can still send emails, but don't expect a huge return. If you're in a B2C environment, people may see it, but typically they won't. They're going to go to their personal emails when they're at work during Monday through Friday, and where they can waste some time, and they'll probably see your email then better than sending it on the weekend. So I'm going to briefly go through this. I thought it was a cool looking infographic, so I thought it'd be worth sharing as a reminder, as some of you are new and some of you are very well experienced. So I'll blaze through this no matter what to make sure we don't waste your time. The subject line is always important. Make sure your pre-header content, as you look into the screen, if you're in Microsoft Outlook environment or Gmail, that you have something for them to see. The from line is from from your company. It's not info at, maybe it's personalized or something along those lines that make sure that it matches to what the person opted in at from all touch points. And it needs to have a reply to address. That's all table stakes. The body of the email, we don't encourage you to have a real long written email. As the proliferation of video marketing, people are too lazy to read. And so don't think that if you're Shakespeare that they're going to want to read your email, because they won't. Be direct, be simple. It's the 3 easy tips, the 5 simple things. Simple lists get a better response than some long paragraph explaining something. Again, personalization is important. Always keep it simple as with everything. And HubSpot recommends that you send your emails via text versus via HTML, because the spam blockers will put all of your email into the spam penalty box if it's an HTML. So the use of images is up to you. Obviously, if you're a consumer brand, you need to use imagery to some degree to sell your products. But most people in the mobile environment, which is the majority of where they will be viewing your email, have browsers that are automatically download those images. If only within the work desktop, laptop environment where those images probably not going to show up. So make sure you adjust accordingly. And then always have a call to action or email. Send an email without asking them to do something is a waste of their time and simply a waste of yours. And then getting to the footer, have to include your contact information as legal. Include your physical address as well. You also always have to include an unsubscribe link, and then make sure that you give them a reason to share the email, share it with friends. Social sharing button, that's important, and that's that gentle reminder there on the right. So I'm going to go through briefly 4 types of marketing emails. Some of you are probably only doing 1 or 2 of these. Typically, organizations are not doing all 4. Here at Anvil Media, we do a newsletter and we do a lead nurturing email, and occasionally we will do an informational interview or informational email. So not all organizations are going to do these. That's why I'm covering all 4 types briefly, so that we're covering everyone's expectations in this webinar. So when you're rolling out your email marketing program, this is a slide to take a screenshot of, or we will email this to all those on the webinar afterwards. But this was another Jen Capstraw nugget that she provided at Digital Summit in breaking down your different types of segmentation. So I talked earlier about segmentations and its importance. And so here are 3 segments. One is the in-funnel, those who you're actively marketing to. If you can see on your screen, you say there's the new subscriber, so you send them a new subscriber welcome email or new customer. You would maybe send them a free trial email. You maybe send them a loyalty program sign up, or a tutorial how-to, or refer a friend. And then within the funnel fallout, people who have opted out, you would have perhaps an abandoned cart upsell email that would go out to them. Nonetheless, I'm not going to read through all of these, but you can see, you can build your own segmentation based on those criteria within your own organization. And then across the top, you can put them in the columns to match what's most important to you. So it's the prospect, lead, existing contact, etc. However that's set up, we recommend you set something like this up if you weren't already, because then this goes back to the very first slide I shared about 70% of people aren't tracking their email marketing the way they should. And so this will help you get more measurement and management out of your email marketing program, and therefore generate more revenue for your organization. So a couple of newsletter examples that I wanted to share with. These are 2 random B2B, B2C newsletters. One of the things we wanted to show is that we want to make sure you're creating, a visual dynamics that people are expecting. So, with the consumer product, this was around Halloween time. What is something that they're going to see? What was something they might react to? And here the option, you can see there's an image, with a couple call to action. There's products to buy, and on the far right is as you scroll down on mobile, you have the social share buttons and delivery options and a bunch of other call to actions. So for B2C, this is an email that we highlighted as something that is important. And then you can see on the bottom it says he has your own subscribe, has their physical address, has an email address to contact if they have questions or concerns. Another example of an email that we thought was pretty good, I'll compare it to a Lion brand wool out of New Jersey. So on the email on the left has 24 links. The one on the right has 39. 39 is too many. I would argue 24 is too many as well. But the main thing to point out here are two things. The one on the right has no calls to action, which is terrible, and it has a 330 word count. So no one's going to read all that either. So that was something that we identified with them. The one on the left, it's less cluttered. It has 2 calls to action and a fewer word. Like I said earlier, and as you've experienced yourself, less is more. Simple is better. Fewer words is better, but the content still needs to be worthwhile. You'll see with the email on the left, it talks about a tour and there's a map, and so there's something there that can engage your eye. There's some products, and then there's some featured products on the bottom part of that email. The email on the right, there's long paragraphs. Looks like old catalog photos from the 80s. This doesn't look very good. So think back to, content is king, and it needs to be content that someone wants to receive, and you have to have a call to action. Going through a lead nurturing email example. So here, briefly going through, someone has opted into your email system that this was the call to action to learn more. So you can set up your landing page to drive them where you want them to go. So in this example, we're sending someone to a website for an event landing page where they can view a video, they can RSVP, or they can purchase the book. Whatever this obviously would adapt to your environment and how you would set up your own landing page as someone has clicked on your website to learn more, to sign up about your ebook or your web or your white paper. Make sure you give them the right information so they can self-select. The reason for this is that you on the back end are tracking this and can build a segmented email list, so you then can get more revenue from your email program. So here's another way, just walking people down the funnel. So this person chose a video view. We know on the back end on the analytics that Susie Q selected video view. So we look at her email that we send out, we would be better to adapt and send out emails that have less copy, less word count, and a link to a video, because she would be more apt to reply, respond, and maybe purchase from that. Here's another user where they didn't view the video, but they RSVP'd for the event and they purchased the book. Anyway, the point of this exercise is to show you that build out your landing pages if you're doing a lead nurturing email or drip campaign, so that you're meeting their expectations. Sometimes these are around events, sometimes this is around client re-engagement, sometimes this is in selling or prospecting. Build out your landing pages accordingly so that you're delivering on their expectation, and more importantly, that your email has a call to action. A brief look into the informational transactional email. Looking at, here's an image-rich email where we're selling female clothes. You want to make sure it's simple and to the point. We don't want to have too much content, too many words, so people can see the product. They can click on the product and then go through and purchase it if they already have an account. Is typically those are the people who are in your email list, no matter what. So, and one of the things that we've discovered over the years is that email marketing, as most of you, if not all of you, are already aware, email marketing in your email channel is probably one of your most lucrative channels. and generates a better ROI than other channels simply because you have an existing customer. So you need to make sure you continue to curate and produce what they want. And a transactional email case study for Taco Bell. So when you think of Taco Bell, you don't think of receiving an email. At least I don't. We worked with them in the past. They wanted to drive. They see themselves as a lifestyle brand, which again may not be the lifestyle that we want to live on the 99 cent burrito menu, but nonetheless, they wanted to drive more e-commerce sales so that they're getting sales through their app, creating more of an online revenue stream that way. And so we built an email that was very, very image heavy, talking about the rolled chicken tacos, which was a test product from the Taco Bell test kitchen. We did the mere presence of one of these, helped drive people to be fans and share and order and start ordering online. And obviously this is Gen Y, the millennials that are doing this. And, for them, it was a success because people started buying directly from the email and ordering their food online and then getting it sent to them via Grubhub. But this is another example. You may or may not use transactional email in your business case scenario, but wanted to make sure we went through each type of marketing email. And so if you are a B2C client or B2C business and want to drive conversions without continuing to give discounts, that's why people are Amazon Prime members. It's not because of Prime being the best thing out there, even though it is exceptional. They do it for the free shipping, and so they'll buy anything on Prime Day, even though it's not a deal, because they're getting free shipping. So similar but different. Look at how can you get conversions without discounts. So a couple of examples is non-monetary perks. So give someone a sneak peek of, say, the new fall collection, the new winter collection, their new products. Give them an opportunity to vote. Give them some type of say makes them feel special, and give them a little bit of a look behind the curtain, because it's that exclusivity that is a great way to appeal to your audience and not discounting your brand, so that you are not simply using email to try as a discount, as a loss leader to get people in the door if you're selling products. That's obviously not the way to go, and always a race to the bottom. So get into measurement as we're getting to the final part of this presentation. Email metrics to measure. I'm sure everyone here is familiar with the click rate and the conversion rate. Bounce rate is important, because if you're getting a high bounce rate, you're sending to people who haven't opted in, or again, it goes back to that 22.5% of people who your email database is going to atrophy over the course of a year. So that's going to happen, but it shouldn't be too high. If it is, then you got to look at how you were distributing things. One of the things to show back to your manager or your director or whomever, if they're asking, well, how's our email marketing program doing, is your list growth rate? Because this goes back to the beginning of this presentation, the beginning of this webinar, talked about how to grow your email list. And so there are several reasons and options to do that. And then if you are continuing to grow your list, then you can use this as another measuring point to combat the degradation of the list of the 22.5% who are going to organically migrate and go away. And you can combat that with list growth. And this will be another number that you can share with whomever you need to. Email sharing and forwarding rate, that's an important metric, because a lot of organizations that we've consulted with don't measure that. They look at it as a number, as a one-off whole number. They don't put it into a percentage, which is important, because that's a trend that you want to look at, and then you'll analyze what content was shared the most, what was forwarded the most, so that you are then creating content that is within that category to continue to get those great results. And then obviously the whole point of the presentation is to make sure is your ROI. Make sure you are figuring out your investment on and time spent on doing your email marketing, so that you are continuing to drive revenue for your organization. So getting a little bit into A/B testing, those of you who have a list of over 1,000 subscribers, this is from HubSpot, their email marketing ebook at of your A/B testing checklist. So go through and look at this. I'm not going to read it off the screen, but simply you want to, it depends on how big your list is. If you have a list of 1,000, then you can do a 50-50 split A/B test. If you have a list of, say, 10,000 or more, then I would recommend taking a subset of that list, say 500 or 1,000, do an A/B test of any of these checklists or anything else that you see viable. See how that performs. Then, with the top performer of that list, then I would roll that out to your other list, to the remainder of your list, so that hopefully the high performer will get those better results, and continue to test on an ongoing basis. So for the people you have to report to, maybe it's a quarterly A/B test, or maybe you're doing a monthly, doing some type of test each time, so that you are showing the results that you're continuing to test and measure, because you can do that with email marketing as you can't with broadcast or out of home or any of those other old traditional. You can measure it, you can manage it. We recommend doing all the testing you can. From a marketing automation standpoint, some of you are large enterprise organizations and maybe using Marketo or Pardot, and you know how expensive they are, especially with Salesforce integration. If you're a small, medium-sized business, these are the marketing automation tools we recommend. Here at Anvil, we use SharpSpring, which is a very effective tool. Allows us on the back end to do our opportunity lead management and proposal management, as well as do drip campaigns, all of our marketing automation, or e-newsletter, or lead nurturing emails. It's a great email platform for us as an agency. HubSpot, like you have HubSpot there. HubSpot is a great one. A lot of people use it. They are a very closed system, but they're very good at what they do. And then Constant Contact is another one that you can use. If you aren't using marketing automation, we recommend you do it, especially if you have various segments and a large database. Next slide here, I can talk about 3 issues with marketing automation. It's currently incapable of truly delivering personal experiences. So, for instance, if you would have to go through and do a lot of programming if you have a segmented list to make sure things are personalized within the system, within marketing automation. So it's how you segment it out is how you're going to personalize. You can't segment on a one-on-one basis as if you did something within your own email platform or through MailChimp. Automations require a lot of continued thought and maintenance, so you need to map out your marketing automation in quarters, at least I'd say recommend 6 to 9 weeks out, because of the complexity of the content that needs to be developed before you start sending out emails. And you need to make sure you have the right proper follow-up. It's nothing that kills an organization like a great nurturing email program that gets a lot of people interested, a lot of clicks, but at the end, those leads aren't followed up on by the sales team, or however you disperse those. That's important to have that follow-up. And then even when you're building out your marketing automation, it's basically it's predicated on your experience and how you set it up. There's no marketing automation system that's going to know your vertical that's going to plug right in and be a perfect fit. Be something that you customize and develop based upon your experience. So at the end of the day, we recommend marketing automation, as it makes a marketer's job a lot easier. But on the other side, it does take a lot of work and maintenance to do so. If you're in an enterprise environment, you're probably using, as I mentioned earlier, Marketo or Pardot. But a couple examples we included that you could do IBM Watson Marketing Cloud. One of our clients, we recommended them into that system. It worked out pretty well for them. Another one, obviously, is Salesforce. Salesforce is becoming a beast within that environment. And then Oracle, for those who are more in that space. Again, this is an enterprise solution, not something for some of the small, medium-sized businesses that are on this webinar. So before I get into questions that you can submit to us, save the date on the 25th of September. We're going to talk about voice search. One of the things you do need to know is that 40% of all homes in the U.S. have some type of voice search component, whether it's on their mobile phone or a digital assistant. So that's an important webinar to put on your calendar to attend. And so at this point, I will open it up for questions and answers. I know I went through a lot of content quickly, but if you have any questions, please feel free to submit them. Okay, we've got a question. What would you say are the top 3 things most important in email marketing? I'd say that, well, that's a good question. It goes back to, as I started the webinar, it goes to your email list. Your email list needs to be authentic and opt-in so that everyone is genuinely interested. It needs, so that'd be the first thing. The second thing would be to make it sure the content is simple and relevant to the audience. And 3, what I'd say the most important is you have a clear call to action. So there's a reason for the email to go out and for them to act on it. So that was a good question. As I mentioned to all those who are on the webinar, that we will email out this version of this presentation as well, so you can have it as a resource. It's a combination of our best practices as well as what we've learned from HubSpot and other email marketers and our email marketing platforms out there. SharpSpring also provides tips and tricks, as we are a subscriber and a paid member of that. We previously used Act-On, and there are various sorts of email marketing sources. The goal of this presentation was to focus on how to generate more revenue from your email, as well as give you a deck presentation for one place for all this content, so that it could be a quick resource for you. So if there are no other questions, I appreciate your time and for spending your lunch with me on this Wednesday, and wish you a great week, and hope you have a fantastic Labor Day weekend.